What is going on, everyone? Here again. Here for you, an episode of a new series here on my channel called What If. What If is a series I post every Friday, and it explores different things, different scenarios, different situations. What if they were to happen? What if they didn't happen? And how they would affect the world around us. The premiere episode was last week, and we discussed what if the human race did not need sleep? What if we didn't spend 1/3 of our lives unconscious in our beds doing nothing? And it was a fun episode. A lot of people seem to enjoy it, so we're back here for episode 2. And episode 2 was a bit different. I initially wanted to do what if World War II didn't happen and how that would affect the world. And I started doing some research on it. And the world would be a very, 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 and I'm going to stress this one more time, very different place if World War II did not happen. And so many different things within this world would be different. So it's going to take a while to make that episode. I would like to have that as an episode, but it's going to take a lot more research. So I figured for this week, I am still sick, and you can probably tell in my voice, I'm still kind of ill. Not ill as in I'm going to drop mad rhymes, but ill as in I'm not feeling very well. I figure we're going to tone it down a little bit, do something a bit easier. For this week's episode, we're going to do what if the zombie apocalypse happened. So the gameplay you guys are watching is the best zombies game I've ever had. I've had it saved on my computer for a long time now. And I got to round 78 on Die Rise, which is just a fantastic, ridiculously good round. It was, I was in the top 100 in the world until people found a couple exploit spots on Die Rise where they could camp in like one certain spot and the zombies basically couldn't hit them or things like that. And now I'm ranked a little bit lower than 100, but still one of the best games in the world on Die Rise. You guys are watching it right now in this gameplay, so I hope you guys will enjoy that. And it's really the only zombies gameplay I have on my PC. I'm playing a lot of zombies lately, so it's what you got. I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's hop onto this. So, zombie apocalypse. So, where to begin? We need to kind of establish a few ground rules here of the zombie apocalypse. So, for all intents and purposes, we're going to say this is Walking Dead style zombies. We got to kind of discuss how the infection starts and how it spreads. So the infection itself, if you're going off the lore from The Walking Dead, it invades the brain kind of like meningitis. The brain goes into shutdown, and then the major organs follow right after that. Then, of course, your major organs in your brain are shut down, then you die. And then, sometime later, it could be 8 minutes, it could be 8 hours, the brainstem kind of starts to reanimate itself. It's the virus within you. Even though you're dead, the virus is still alive inside your body, and it reanimates, I should say, your brainstem. And the brainstem is pretty interesting. It makes sense why the brainstem is what reanimates itself, because the brainstem actually controls lots of different parts of your body, including movement, as well as pain, the sensations of itching, your heart rate, breathing, and sleeping and stuff like that. The brainstem does a lot of different parts for your body. It has a lot of different functions. It controls a lot of things. So for the brainstem to reanimate, you're kind of coming back as this shell, basically a walking pod is what a zombie is. And everything that was you, your brain itself, your memories, thoughts, feelings, emotions, things like that, those are all gone. They died with your brain. Right now, it's only your brain stem that is animated, which is controlling you walking. You're basically a walking pod running on instinct. That's basically how this is going. And what's interesting about it is if the brain stem is what reanimates itself, then the zombies could probably feel pain, because the brainstem controls that. The feeling of pain, at least from what I've read. I've done a little bit of research on this. I'm trying to put on the best show possible and learn about this stuff. The brainstem, which is something that controls your feelings of pain, is reanimated, and no one ever seems to touch on that. The zombies, if I have all my ducks in a row here, can still kind of feel pain. The pain of dying once again. This could be the pain from them dying. This could be the pain from them slowly deteriorating over time, which is, of course, what happens. I mean, they're zombies, they're rotting flesh, and they're going to continue to rot. They could feel that, as well as attacks from the living, trying to defend themselves. Attacks from machetes or chainsaws or gunshots. All these different things can hurt the zombie, and they might still feel it. Not sure. They might. I'm not sure. Of course, this is a zombie apocalypse hypothetical virus we're talking about right now, but that's something to think about, which is kind of creepy. They can feel it, but the person that's feeling it, the zombie, is not a real person. Remember, anything, your memories, your feelings, any part of your brain that makes you, what makes you unique, that part is dead. But the corpse itself, the animated pod, for lack of a better phrase, is something that can still feel. Pretty weird, pretty interesting. So let's talk about how people actually come into contact with this disease. So in The Walking Dead, everybody is infected. Living or dead, it's going to happen eventually. And that's kind of an extreme case. Everyone's infected. In most zombie scenarios, the virus doesn't really work that way. In most zombie scenarios, it starts off with one person. Would you call him patient zero? Is that the phrase? Patient zero, the original, the person that originally had the virus. It's going to start off somewhere along that situation, and then it's going to spread from there. Start in a small town, spread to the outskirts, and start eventually go to the world. That's kind of how it works. Now, what we can gather from movies, graphic novels, folklore, and all that stuff regarding zombies is that a bite from the zombie is what gets the infection in your body, which results in a horrible illness, usually a fever, and until eventually the fever overtakes you and you die. Until you come back, until you're reanimated. So, well, I feel like a lot of movies and graphic novels and folklore, what a lot of these things don't seem to cover is that not only a bite can infect you. The principle behind the bite is that when they bite you, they sink their teeth into you, or what's left of their teeth, and the infected zombie directly gets bacteria into your bloodstream. Well, if that's the case, then not only bites could give you the infection, having an open wound could come into contact with an infected zombie, that can make you infected yourself. I once punched my window. It's a long story. Actually, it's not a really long story. I got mad at Modern Warfare 2, and I was sitting next to a window, and I went just punched, and wasn't thinking, and my hand went through the window. I have a scar in my pinky from it, and it's about an inch long. It just basically goes in a diagonal pattern across my pinky finger on my right hand. And I'm looking at it, and that could almost be mistaken for a paper cut or a scar from a paper cut, but paper cut's not that thick. Either way, it got me thinking, what if someone had a paper cut and they got attacked by a zombie and they didn't have a weapon on them, like a baseball bat or nothing like that? You see the zombie, it comes at you, you go to punch it to get away from you so you can get away from the zombie, right? Well, your paper cut just touched the rotting flesh of the zombie. I'm pretty sure the bacteria from the zombie is just got into your paper cut. And if you think of different movies, Night of the Living Dead, Zombieland, I can't name any freaking zombie movie on Netflix. Just go browse the horror section. There's a million of them. And all those movies, they try and show for the camera. They go out there and they're going at them with shotguns. They're like point blank. They're taking them out with swords and machetes and chainsaws, doing all kinds of really cinematic stuff to make the movie or the show or whatever interesting. And usually getting covered in zombie blood while they're at it. The Walking Dead is another example. This isn't a spoiler. It happened in season 1. What's her name? Andrea, the blonde girl. Her sister got bit, and she laid with her sister after she died and waited for her to turn. The next day, she turned, tried to bite her. She shot her in the head, got covered in her sister's infected zombie blood. Now, that infected zombie blood is all over your face. It's in your ears, or it's by your ears, it's by your eyes, your nose, your mouth. All these open orifices of your body is that infected zombie blood. And if all this makes sense, in my head it makes sense, that could possibly infect you. So it's not only a bite, it's bacteria, it's a virus, right? It's in the blood, it's on the zombie, they're literally walking infections. So that no form of zombie lore seems to cover on that, but doesn't that make sense to you that would happen and you could get infected that way? I don't know, I've always kind of thought that. Then again, it's zombies, it's make-believe. So, but let's start talking about what if the zombie apocalypse were to actually happen. So you can take this whether you live in the UK or the Netherlands or Australia or Canada, United States, wherever. You just pick a random spot in your country of origin, and let's say it starts off in a small town. Patient zero. I don't know how he gets it. Maybe nuclear waste. I don't know how he gets it. I don't know how to do this stuff. And then that person gets it, spreads to the whole town, spreads to the surrounding areas, and it's slowly starting to make its way to the rest of the world. So we live in a modern age, right? We live in an age where, you're watching this over the internet right now. We have the internet, we have cell phones, we have news, we have lots of different lines of communication. If a zombie infection were to happen, we would be able to, people would know about it. You'd see it coming. I live in Pennsylvania. Let's say this thing started in Florida. We would have a pretty good heads up is the word I'm looking for of whether or not that zombie apocalypse is going to happen. Hell, it takes 20 hours to drive from Pennsylvania to Florida. Imagine how long it's going to take a zombie to walk or run, depends on what kind of zombies you're talking about. But yeah, it's going to take a long time for them to get here. We're going to have time to set up and prepare. And most people's situation, and most people's in their minds, like, oh yeah, zombie apocalypse is going to be awesome. I got all these guns. I've got all this food ration in my house. I'm going to board up the windows. I'm going to snipe zombies out of my window upstairs. It's going to be great. That's really not how it's going to go down. See, if a zombie infection were to happen, if it were to come out in Florida and you live in Pennsylvania and you're starting to prepare for this thing, you're not just going to board up your house. That doesn't work. You have family. Me, I have family. Okay, 10 miles out of town that way, I have a grandparent or two grandparents. I have a grandma and a grandpa. 15 miles the other way, I have my grandpa. My other grandma died. It's sad. But yeah, so I got two grandparents outside of town. I have, well, I guess technically one uncle, 4 aunts, and like 20 or more cousins, because my cousins have kids and they're older. They have kids too. Tons of cousins, a bunch of aunts, an uncle, 2 grandfathers, and a grandma. I have all those people to worry about. You're not just going to have them fend for themselves. What you're going to try and do, the best thing you can try and do, is try and get your entire family boarded up together, right? In some area. My uncle, I talked about in one of the Dear Nears, my uncle has a good house. Good house isn't big house, nice big house out in the country with lots of land out there. And that's where you want to be, in the country, not the city. The country, there's less people, therefore less zombies. Go out there and basically hold up in his house. One problem is there's only one bathroom. That's the bad part. But other than that, you want to take that big area and you want to kind of board up, be it fences, I don't know, cars, anything you can. It's gonna be hard, because I'll just go buy a bunch of wood and make a fence. Well, wood's gonna be kind of a high demand if a freaking zombie apocalypse is happening. Yeah, it's supply and demand. Prices are gonna go up, and it's gonna be a little more difficult to get wood, as well as other people are gonna be trying to get it. There might be a panic, you never know, but you need to find some way to fence in your area, make it so zombies can't get in, and hopefully survive out the zombie apocalypse. Now, it'd be a lot harder, I think. You see in the movie stuff, it's like a massive outbreak. Like everyone is infected. The government fails. I don't see how the government could fail in taking out zombies, especially when it starts from one thing, like one person, patient 0, and then goes on and tries to infect other people. The military would try and handle it, but in this situation, let's say the military doesn't handle it, you just kind of have to wait them out. And this is actually the second time I've actually had to go and record this, because the first time I messed up the editing and the audio got horrible. Then I lost the audio. It was bad, so I had to redo this. But in the original recording of this video, I went through like, all you have to do is survive 1 year, baby. 1 year and you win. And it made sense to me, and then it hit me right in the middle of the commentary, and I'm going to tell you what happened. So my initial thought was the original infected, right? The person that started the infection, patient 0. He's human. Zombies are human. And the one thing you have to remember about zombies is that they're still human, and humans deteriorate. After they die, because of course you have to die to become a zombie, after you die, blood stops flowing, and you stop getting oxygen. Once that starts happening, the human body starts to deteriorate, and it takes no longer than a year of not living for the human body to become nothing but skeleton and teeth. And initially I'm like, yep. So when the zombie infection happens, all you gotta do is just survive 1 year. Then all the zombies will be skeletons, because the brainstem, there isn't much muscle in there. It's just gonna go ahead. Your brain itself will deteriorate. It'll be gone, and then you'll be nothing but bone. That's how it works. That's human anatomy. Anatomy? I don't know. Yeah, that's how it works, right? Like, yeah, you just gotta survive 1 year and you win. Then it hit me. You have to survive a lot longer than 1 year. Because let's say patient 0, the original infected, right? He's living, let's say he's 6 months down the road. 6 months into the zombie outbreak. He bites a fresh person. Now that fresh person has 1 year to infect everything else. And then let's say 7 months down the line, that infected bites a new infected. Then now you gotta start the whole year process over. That's how zombies work, and it took me a while to figure that out. Initially, when I initially was writing the script for this video, and I was setting it all up and thinking up all my ideas, I'm like, yeah, man, you survive 1 year, you're good. No, because in theory, it could go on nearly infinitely. Of course, not infinitely. There's only so many people on the earth, and only so many people to be infected. So unless you were to kill all of the zombies, all of the infected people, it's going to keep on going on until every person on the earth is a zombie. But I'm sure somebody would nuke somebody before that would happen. But yeah, it's a bad situation. That's a very bad situation. And what it would come down to is you would have to you'd be with your family, whoever hopefully survived, and you would have to kind of do what to do in The Walking Dead. You got to kind of travel around because you can't just stay in one area unless you are a self-sustaining society of a utopia within the zombie apocalypse. You're going to have to keep on moving to get new supplies. That's how it works. And a lot of people, myself included, kind of like the idea of a zombie apocalypse. There's two sides, right? It's a double-edged sword. At one part, you're going to be losing people. My mom is in her 40s and she's been smoking for 30 years. She's not going to be able to run. My grandparents aren't going to be able to run. They're not going to be able to help out in that regard. It'd be hard to take care of them. They might die in the zombie apocalypse. But in another regard, it's like an open wasteland. It's like Zombieland. Have you seen Zombieland? If you've seen that, you just be driving down the road and there's all just a bunch of abandoned cars. Like, hey, there's an Escalade. I'm driving the Escalade. Anytime you walk into a store, you can take wherever you want. You're scavenging supplies. And the whole survival aspect of it, that kind of seems neat. And the idea that if a zombie apocalypse were real and that you were trying to survive it, the idea in the back of your head that you're hopefully going to hold out through this plague and be one of the people that survived, so you can write the history books about it and basically get Earth back on track and then be one of the people that survived it, then that would be a really neat part as well. That's one of the things that makes the idea of a zombie scenario kind of neat, at least in my eyes. And yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed this week's episode of What If. That's what I would do if I had the whole zombie apocalypse thing. I mean, my whole family, we're good on guns, and we'd probably meet up at my uncle's house, and we would try and hold out, but eventually we're going to have to move, and that's whether or not, if a zombie apocalypse were to really happen, the United States government, how much money they spend on military, I think it'd be pretty difficult for people that can only hurt you by biting you to stop somebody with, a saw, light machine gun posted up on top of a hill. It would be difficult, but eventually they're all going to turn to skeletons, and the best situation, or the best chance we have, is to kill them all before it spreads out too much. And that's my idea for the zombie apocalypse. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this week's episode of What If. If you did, remember to leave a rating where you guys feel the video deserves, and let me know in the comments, what do you do? Zombie apocalypse, it's happening. There's an infection in wherever country you live in, and it's coming your way. What do you do? Hope you guys all enjoyed. Remember to leave a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.
I was banging 7 grand rocks, that's how I roll. I got one gift.